All right, Rambam Sefer Misvot. Misvot Aseh, a positive commandment. We're up to number Petet, Misvah 89. We're in, of course, still the general topic of Korbanot. We're talking about, from the last Misvah, at least, Kohanim. We read about the fact that they have a share in eating the mincha, the flour offerings, the leftovers of the flour offerings. And here's another related Misvah. Misvah Petet. Hisha Shiva Kohanim. Le'echol basar kadashim, kilomar hatat v'ha'asham, shem kodesh hakodashim. So the Torah commanded the Kohanim to eat, whether they like it or not, to eat the meats of the types of korbanot. We have different categories of korbanot. The higher level of severity is called kodesh kodashim, or really Kodesh Kadashim, and it is the korbanot of Olah, Hatat, and Hashem. Of course, Olah is not eaten, it's a burnt offering. So the other two are Hatat and Hashem. After the prescribed fats are offered and blood are offered on the Mizbeach, the parts of the animal, the meat that is allowed to be eaten is eaten by the Kohanim. V'hu amaro, the source, v'echlu otam asher kupar bahem. And that means that which was used to atone for, meaning that Hatat and Asham are sin offerings, you atone for sins, they shall eat them, the Kohanim. V'lashon Sefer, the Midrash asks rhetorically as follows. Minayin she'achilat kadashim kapara, how do you know that their eating of these basar kodesh is an atonement, it's part of the process of atonement? Tamur lomar ve'ota natan lachem nosedet avon ha'eda kesat kohanim ochlim u'be'alim mitkaperim, because the pasuk says, and that was given to you to uphold, to carry the sin of the congregation, which means, explains the Midrash, Kohanim eat, and the owners, right? The Kohanim are not the owners of the Korban, they're the representatives. They eat and the owners are atoned for. It's part of that critical process. U'mitanai mizvazo, shehi ha'achila, shehi mizvah, umnam tihiyeh layom v'layla ad hasot. So one of the conditions, one of the details of this mizvah, which is a misvah just to eat, he points out again, is that it's eaten, the korban, the day when it's offered, and at night, and that's it. Afterwards, its eating is forbidden. It's called notat. It's left over after its limited time period. But during the time period, it is considered to be a mizvah. It's a positive commandment that's being fulfilled. Also explained in the Midrash that this is a mizvah that's exclusive to the males amongst the Kohanim. Ve'en nashim hayavot ba, ki kodshei kodashim sheba bahem hakatuv lo tochalna hanashim. The women are not obligated to eat because we learn from the Pesukim, basically, that Rambam is telling us at this point without telling us how, but at least a higher level korbanot called Kodesh Kadashim, here, namely Hatat and Asham, women do not eat. Umnam, Shar Kadashim, Kilomar Kadashim Kalim. Now, the other major category of korbanot, called Kadashim Kalim, which means less severe in their level of Kedusha, that Hinehem Yochlu, that woman can eat. Those are mainly what's the type of korban called shilamim, and those are more lenient in many ways. One of which is that they're eaten. They have a longer span of time of permissibility to eat, not just the day it was offered in the following night, but even the following day. And therefore, it ends up being, the Rambam explains, 2 days and 1 night. Zulati toda ve'el nazir, shehem layom ve'layla ad hasot. Ve'af al pi shehem chadashim kalim. So, except for the 2 exceptions, and even though they're also considered to be Korban Shalamim, one is the Korban Todah, and one is the one of the Korbanot of the Nazir, the idol of the Nazir. Those 2, even though they're in the lighter category, they're only in 1 night and the first day and night, like the higher level category. ותאכלנה הנשים גם כן אלו הקדשים קלים, ואכילתם גם כן נגררת אחר המזבח. So the woman eat also those 2, Nazir and the, of course, we're talking about Kohanot, the Nazir and the Korban Todah. In fact, very often they'd bring Korban Todah. For instance, when they gave birth to a child, they'd bring that Korban. In any case, if they're a Kohenet, they not only but eating Kadashim Kalim is considered a Mizvah. And it's Nigreret, the Rambam says, it's drawn, it's attached to the you can say the father Mizvah here. The main Mizvah is eating the Kohanim, eating the Asham and Hatat, but women eating the meat of Kadashim Kalim is included in the Mizvah. V'gam ken truma hine achilatam nigreret ahar mizvah. Look at that. Even a woman who's married to a Kohen, can eat truma, the truma that goes to the Kohen. And that also fits into this broad category. And the eating of it is considered to be mizvah, which is incorporated in this broader Kohen eating mizvah category. But it's not the same thing. He doesn't explain us how it's not the same, but it's not the same as the essential mitzvah of the Kohen, the male Kohen, eating hatat and hasham. He will explain to us right now, in fact. Bam tushlam kaparat hamitkaper k'moshe bi'adno. Because the difference with hatat and hasham is that with eating them, it completes the process of atonement of the sinner who's bringing the sin offering. And that's why they're more prestigious and more important. And in terms of the command that Torah gave us to eat the hatat and asham meat, with it in the Torah came that pasuk, asher kupar bahem, that with the eating there'll be atoning, there'll be an atonement for Am Yisrael, which is not stated regarding the lighter level korbanot, and of course not regarding the teruma. And therefore, all we said is that they're not the essential mizvah. If someone would eat, including women, the meat of the kadashim kalim, like the shilamim, and the teruma, it is drawn into Nigrad, means dragged with and incorporated in a general mizvah that you're fulfilling with this category of mizvah, but it's not the same. That's not the same accomplishment. It's not the same, you can call it impact, maybe a reward, although we don't know about the rewards of Misvot. But Ashron Sefer, the Midrash says, Avodat matana etenet kihunatchem. The pasuk says, a service of gift, reward, I will make your service of priestlyhood. Says the Midrash, La'asot achilat kadashim bechvulim k'avodat mikdash b'mikdash. To equate eating of kodesh b'gvulin here in boundaries means outside the Bet HaMikdash, like eating what's required in the Bet HaMikdash or in the confines of the Bet HaMikdash. Ma'avodat mikdash mekadesh ada ve'achar kach ochel af achilat chadashim mekadesh ada ve'achar kach ochel. So, for instance, just like with korban, that you have to eat it on har habayit, within the walls of the general Bet HaMikdash area, so too a lighter level kodesh like teruma that can be eaten anywhere, both of them require kiddush yadayim. So just like a regular korban, the kohen before eating its meat is obligated and required to sanctify his hands by pouring water over them. So too with eating terumah, and that's, by the way, why we wash our hands before we eat bread, to commemorate, or really to keep that habit of washing before we touch terumah. Let's read another Misvot. Misvot study number 90. He shesiva l'srof kadashim shenitmeu. There's a separate Misvot to burn kodesh, meaning a korban, an animal or the meat of it that became tameh. There's a Misvot aseh to burn it. V'hu omro pasuk. The source is v'habasar shehiga b'chol tameh. Flesh of a basar kodesh, of a korban that touched someone or something that's tameh and made it tameh, says the pasuk says that you have to burn it. Ba'esh tisareh. U'b'gemara Shabbat, in my version it doesn't continue the pasuk. U'b'gemara Shabbat, Gemara explains ba'leva'er hatam. It explains in the Gemara the reason for this. Sheba'aburo asur lahadlik b'shemen tirumah. I'm sorry. So the Gemara goes to explain something else from which the Rambam will learn that burning tameh korban meat is a misvat aseh. The Gemara talks about the fact that asur lahalik b'shemen terumah shenidma b'yom tov. Let's say you had oil of terumah that was squeezed from olives of terumah that became tameh. That's kodesh, and it has to be burned. The fact that you cannot burn it on Yom Tov, why not? You can, generally speaking, you can burn on Yom Tov for purposes, for food, for warmth. Why can't you burn terumah that became oil of terumah that became tameh? Maybe you can use it for fuel or something. Gemara says no. Ve'amru bazeh shabbaton asehu v'havale Yom Tov aseh ve'lo ta'aseh ve'en aseh dohe et lo ta'aseh ve'aseh. Gemara explain that Yom Tov is called Shabbaton, and that means that observing Yom Tov is a Misvat Aseh, and the formula then turns out to be that Yom Tov observance is an Aseh and a Lo Ta'aseh. It's both a negative and positive commandment, and there's a rule that a Misvat Aseh, and here burning Kodesh that became Tameh is Misvat Aseh, and Misvat Aseh can't override a combination Aseh and Lo Ta'aseh. Yom Tov is a combination Aseh and Lo Ta'aseh. Violating it, burning for no reason would be a violation of it. The Mizvah, which is only a single Mizvat Aseh, burning Kodesh, which is Tameh, can't override Yom Tov, which is an Aseh and a Lo Ta'aseh, and he'll explain more. V'anyan ze ha'ma'amar, asiyat melacha b'Yom Tov asur, v'ha'oseh ota over amizvat Aseh, shehu bitel mizvat Aseh. So you can't do melacha on Yom Tov, most melachot, and if you violate that, you violated a positive commandment, which is to observe and sanctify Yom Tov. V'hu amaro, the pasuk says yitaleh b'Yom Tov yiheh b'Yom Tov. The pasuk says regarding Yom Tov, yiheh lachem Shabbaton. That means you have to make it a rest day. That's an aseh. So that's, if you work on Yom Tov, you violated an aseh. Ve'over amizvah lo ta'aseh ki asa et mashu hushar mimenu. And you also violated a lo ta'aseh because you did what you were warned not to do. Namely, the pasuk says, kol melacha lo ya'aseh bahem kilomar b'yom tov. So doing a melacha is violating, you're not resting, that's an aseh. And those violating a lo ta'aseh, don't do a melacha. Usrefat kadashim hu mizvat aseh. On the other hand, burning basar kodesh that became tameh is only in mizvat aseh. V'lachen, therefore. Eno mutar l'srov oto b'yom tov, v'abur hashoresh sezachar and aseh dochei lo ta'aseh v'aseh. Therefore, that reason you can't burn it on Yom Tov. It became tameh because a single positive commandment cannot override a positive and negative commandment. Visham. So what'd you get from all of this? You know what you got from all of this? That burning kadashim on Yom Tov, in general, is a Misvot Aseh. And this whole exercise that Imam did to prove that to you. Visham Gam Ken Amru, in the Gemara they added, Kishem Shem Misvah L'Srov Kadashim Shnitmeu, Kach Misvah L'Srov Shemen Teruma Shedintma. Just like it's a Misvah, Gemara explained to burn Basar Kodesh that became Tameh, so too to burn oil of Teruma that became Tameh. So you see, that's why the Gemara in that formula called it a Misvat Aser, burning Shemen of Teruma that became Tameh, but you can't do it on Yom Tov. The name is Vazob Psahim V'Sof Temura. This Misvah is mentioned in two different Masechtot in the Gemara. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.